So welcome to the grand finals of the very first playoffs of the very first season of the Female Starcraft League. It's a best of 7 and facing off against each other are these two ladies, spawning to the top left hand corner in purple, playing for Risk and Germany, our Zerg player Miezekotze. And to the bottom right hand side in orange, playing for Team LDLC and France, it's our Terran Miyako. And while she goes into a typical Reaper opening, Miezekotze just goes for a bread and butter build, the hatch first into gas into pool. So nothing all too unexpected out of her. Orbital command already morphing for Miyako. Let's see how this is going to work out. Miyako has finished the season mode in rank 1, while Miezekotze got second place. So those two are actually closest to each other. Still, Miyako is undefeated throughout the whole season. Has actually not lost a single match. Although she's dropped a map here or there. But that's actually all of it. In season mode she only dropped one map, going 11-0. And in the real StarCraft Master Tournament she also got first. There she dropped a few maps against opponents. And yeah, throughout the playoffs she also only dropped one map against Anolia in the round of 8. But if she wins this, she will be, well, 11-0 in season mode and 3-0 in the playoffs. So yeah, Miyako is just damn good. So this really is going to be pretty tough for Miezekotze. And we can already see how these ladies are going at each other. So factory build for Miyako right after this barracks. So seems as if she just wants to get out Stim as early as possible once more. Or maybe she just wants to use these... No, she doesn't. To switch the factory up in order to get early tanks. And so the tech lab already producing Stim, while we get another reactor at the factory, probably in order to get out some mines, because mines are the usual weapon of choice against a Zerg player early on, and the starport also in production, while Miezekotze is already preparing for defending bio pushes by building a baneling nest, which will grant her the possibility to morph her Zerglings into banelings that deal splash damage against, and especially very effective, especially against bio units, which Marines and Marauders are. So, more Marines being produced, we also have a medevac in production, and interestingly, it's not going to be the mines, it's going to be Hellions into Hellbats, because the armory is already on the run. So first few links trying to get in actually seem to have killed something off down here, because there's a lot of bloodstains, but not all too many of the important units. Unfortunately for Miezekotze, she hasn't really seen the Hellions so far, and actually, which is a bit unusual for her, she doesn't really have an Overlord in position. Has she already sacrificed it in? She actually has. Okay, so never mind. Oh, there it was. Okay, there it is. There's the Overlord that actually saw everything. So Miezekotze should be well prepared. She has actually gathered all the necessary information she needed in order to know what's headed her way. The problem is she really... Oh, actually, did she see the... No, she didn't see the armory, so she might expect that a Hellion push is a Hellbat push is coming away, but might not be prepared. But she has everything in place. I mean, there's Queen in place, there's also the Banelings in place. Has to be careful not to lose most of these Banelings to these Hellbats, though, because if she does, most of the Marines will survive. And now with the help of the Stim, the Marines will just easily take out the Queens. Transfuses are just raining down, but there's just not enough energy to transfuse these Queens for way too long. Okay, a few more Banelings are morphing in. In the meantime, we have some Links just sacrificing their lives in order to protect the these drones over here. Banelings have finally managed to morph, and Miezekotze can barely clean this up. This could have been way worse in just a matter of seconds here. So Miyako didn't really deal any economic damage, which would have been really important for her, but she's already preparing for a second push. Unfortunately, this second push will just deal, or it will just be way more difficult for this second push to deal any amount of significant damage. So, I don't really know what if I like it or not. I mean, Miyako has to do something. She has to stay aggressive while trying to take her own base back here. There's also getting a second engineering bay up in order to get her upgrades running. In the meantime, we have Miezekotze just preparing for a Ling run by, also checking for the third base, sees that it's not there, might even be able now to just move in while the attack is happening at the main base, and there the run by is happening at the natural base of Miyako as well. So Miyako now has to defend at several fronts, just losing everything right inside that push. The queen now out of range of the liberation zone, just takes down everything. Miezekotze even taking down that Hellion over here, has already killed 4 workers now, is going for more, but the rest of the Hellions should actually clear this up, not before 9 workers have already been killed. And this is looking pretty nice here for Miezekotze, who actually just gets the full surround on all of these units. Hellbats are good versus Lings, but not if they get a full surround. Luckily for Miezekotze, everything is still sealed off. Once more, the wall is intact, so the units can't just run in straight away, but the Banelings will probably just break through everything, and then we'll see whether these Hellbats will be worth their money. We'll be able to take everything out. Miezekotze Miyako just transfers all of those in front, tries to take out the Banelings before they have the chance to hit the bunker. Finally, it goes down. The Lings rain in, but nice micro here by Miyako. Almost all of the Hellbats are in good position, killing off almost all of these. Killing off a good chunk, but it's just not enough. Most of the workers just die. There's a wide open gap right inside the wall towards Miyako's natural base. More Lings are streaming across the map. See the purple flood of Zerglings, and Miezekotze can just easily take out the second base. She's already so far ahead with everything and all the damage she's already done. Tries to morph in a few more Banelings, wants to break through this wall up here for good. There's not much that Miyako's units can actually do. Counter repairing going on. The Hellions still stay strong. Finally, the Banelings get up, break through both of these depots, so no way to close it off. Miyako just tries to abuse the position of her buildings, tries to lure her opponent into the thermopiles, but it's just not enough. Too many army units rushing in, killing off almost everything. Finally, it seems as if Miyako might be able to stabilize, but not after having lost so many, but not without having lost so many workers. It's 43 to 28. I mean, as soon as Miezekotze just realizes she can just lay back and drone up again and just get the better tech, I don't really think she actually needs to take everything down. But of course, getting in once more, if she just hits all of these mules, all of the mining will just go down immediately. Just have a look at the income tab. The rest of the units just die as well, and I don't think that Miyako will be able to hold out for much longer. Whew. Wow, maybe for now she's finally stopped it. Miezekotze just retreats a little bit, is still producing a heavy amount of Zerglings and Banelings, just gets the level 1 attack melee upgrade here, is already on lair attack, so she could just switch into anything, maybe even just trying to get to ultra tech on like 3 bases. I also have already taken a 4th. Miyako just tries to do some sort of counter push, but I don't really think it's going to work out that well. I mean, if she moves out with everything she has, there's just nothing left at home, and she doesn't even have a wall, so the rest of the units just move in, kill off all the rest of the remaining workers. A lot of Banelings just also get inside the main base. Miyako just desperately tries to get through here, but Miezekotze just uses the 2 Banelings she already had inside her base in order to crack that wall once more. Most of the Lings just get into the mineral line of Miyako, taking out everything. 28 workers have died. In the meantime, Miyako with her last remaining forces tried to deal as much damage as possible, takes out the 3rd base mining completely. There's a lot of units around here, but no Banelings so far. Oh, unfortunately, this medevac just standing right in the reach amount of the spore crawlers, and the rest of the units get killed by Baneling busts. Miezekotze takes the first game. Galactic Process is the second map of this best of 7 grand final series, spawning to the bottom left hand side in orange, playing for LDLC, la programmeuse française Miyako. Going for a very early refinery. And to the top right hand side in purple, playing for My Risk and Germany, it's Miezekotze. And she's Zerk, as you can see, already sending her overlords across the map in order to get some good scouting. If you followed the FSL regularly, you ought to know that Miezekotze is terrific at scouting. Passive scouting, active scouting, just doesn't matter. She's really good at it. Overlord spreading, creep spreading, sending in a few links, poking the front, checking for hidden bases. Miezekotze just has it all. She's very good at it. I mean, she has a very tough opponent, so she really needs to play her 8 game. Miyako just a phenomenal player. And she has been for a lot of years, dominating the ESL Female Cups. If not one of the close to GM players were also participating. The ones like Madalisk, Queenie, Caitlyn. But yeah, even against Queenie, back when Queenie was still actively playing StarCraft 2, she really managed to get maps and draw out games for quite some time, almost whittling down her opponent, then just barely losing. And Miyako's just damn good. And she's very unpredictable. She knows how to play a lot of styles. You never really know what to expect of her. That could just be coming everything. So, or anything in that case. So, never underestimate Miyako, even if you win the first game. It's just the first step on a giant ladder you have to climb. So, Miyako just tries to deal some more damage, trying to get some counter, trying to get some information, trying just to get some scouting information, trying to find a hole where she can actually just jump into the main base, but Miezekotze just won't let her. It takes a very early third base of her own. Actually, in Galactic Process, taking a third base in that location can be pretty problematic. Also, like I said before, talking about scouting, Miezekotze is already bringing her Overlord into position, has already seen the critical buildings inside Miyako's base. But yeah, taking a third base at that location is pretty problematic if your opponent is going for the typical Marine tanky-vac play, because from that location down here, you can actually just siege up tanks down here, and then just start shooting away at that hatchery while you just unload a few Marines with a medevac up here, or even just put them down in front of your tanks in order to protect them, and the medevacs just give you high ground vision in order to attack that hatchery. And if your opponent just hasn't taken out these rocks out over here, it's really problematic to defend this, because the opponent can just elevator the tanky-vacs up till here once you just try to run come in from down here from that angle, and then he just drops the tanks up here, or she drops the tanks up here, and you just can't get there back in time. Splitting up your units is also problematic because the opponent has tanky-vacs down here and one up here and some Marines in position as well. So yeah, this situation can actually be quite problematic. In the meantime, we have a lot of Lings actually just running into the natural base. Sorry for missing that while just trying to explain. So it seems as if Miezekotze again just trying to get on top of her opponent by just surprising her with early Lings just rushing inside the natural base. 4 units have already been killed. Miyako just barely saves the rest of her army units, but not without losing that supply depot over here. More Lings are already running across the map. Does she have a Baneling nest? No! She's actually just trying to gather more and more Lings, and it seems as if this could actually just work out if Miyako is not paying attention. But now there's a mine is out, but unfortunately Miyako has just loaded it inside. Good position here for the Hellions though, just on top of the ramp, being just close to the edge, but unfortunately there's just too many Lings for Miezekotze here. And again, Miezekotze just taking out the natural base once more. More and more units are dying. Miyako just desperately trying to get out more and more Hellions to finally clear this up. will maybe even have to lift this base eventually, but Miezekotze just retreats in the nick of time, not without producing more and more links. So it seems as if she just wants to get back in once more. And Miyako just falling apart here, not having a wall off at all at any place. So this just makes it infinitely more problematic for her to defend the more incoming units of Miezekotze over here. So Miezekotze just barely gets supply blocked because of that overlord that just got shot down, but she already has her third base. She's at 35 workers. I mean, for now, the mules can actually help out Miyako to stay in the game, but it just won't help forever. And another big run by Miyako just reacting right in the nick of time, just gets up the supply depot before the links can stream in, and finally it seems Miezekotze just having to engage in a wasteful push, not really getting the damage done, and actually even, well, I wouldn't say she just loses her advantage, but she's not as far ahead as she might have been a few more minutes or a few more seconds before that. So the order command is burning. 4 more workers have died. 2 more depots got cancelled or even killed. More and more links just streaming in. It seems Miezekotze is just trying the good old tier 1 all day long game out of 3 bases. More and more banelings just being morphed. Okay, now finally the Hellions are in place, trying to kill off the Lings and the Banes as well. Nice micro here by Miyako, just trying to move around with him. Finally Miezekotze manages to get this around, but just above the mine. So the mine just actually kills off a lot of units here. Okay, now actually has to defend two places at once. So unfortunately for Miyako, the banelings even breaking through that supply depot, not only the normal one, but the one that also had the additional supply on top of it. So Miyako actually losing a lot of supply, is just near to being supply blocked. And also there's this wide open gap that Lynx could just use to run inside the main base as well. So Miyako just has to put something in this and also into that gap as well before the next wave of Ling actually arrives at her base. I don't really know if Miezekotze actually ever plans to transition out of it. She's now building 6 more drones. And like I said before, now she's just starting to get wasteful. I mean, what looked like a very good idea and something that just put her ahead very early on in the game turns, or could turn out to actually be a big mistake if she just keeps on throwing more units towards her opponent, because then Miyako might just be able to claw herself back into the game with a good counter push. So, okay, finally Miyako just gets some breath, and I do as well. In the meantime, Miezekotze has decided to finally retreat, to set up her defenses back at home. Is also producing a few more units, because she knows that after retreating, of course, she now offers Miyako the possibility to attack herself. So she has to be prepared for that. But she's fine. She's on 3 bases. She's almost taken 6 gas geysers. And she doesn't really have to fear much. I mean, the only thing she has to fear is like a very, very good Widow Mine connection here. And also has to be careful of these medivacs, but yeah, I think there's just too many forces of Miezekotze here to handle this. I mean, even taking down one of the medivacs maybe. Okay, Liberator might help out, but 4 queens should just take it down in no time. No problem whatsoever. Lings and banelings just clear off the rest of Miyako's army. And Miyako again is down below 50 supply for a second there, while Miezekotze just goes up to 86 supply. She also has her first upgrade out. Has Miyako even started an upgrade? She doesn't even have an engineering bay. I mean, my god, Miyako just falling in behind more and more. Finally just manages to get the the combat shield upgrade for more hit points, while Miezekotze is just taking a 4th of her own, with Miyako not even being able to think of a 3rd. So this game just looks more and more grim for Miyako the longer it goes. More upgrades incoming. Now the first few mutas are going to be produced as well. So once a lot of mutas pop, there just won't be a good chance for Miyako to actually get good engagements anymore. To actually get engagements that are that are cost efficient for her, because Miezekotze will always be able to just track down these medevacs, take them out. It will also be a lot easier for her to take out these liberators. Okay, so now that's actually a nice position here. Miezekotze just running in from all angles, actually just wasting a lot of links over here. Also a lot of Banes. Banelings not really hitting the bio. Mines just getting thrown down, and actually Miezekotze just loses most of her army to this little bio force with the help of the mines and the liberator there. At least the liberator is done. But yeah, I mean, Miezekotze doesn't really need to hold this third, but of course she wants to. Okay, has to be careful when she flies in with these Mutalisks. I mean, Mutalisks do not really trade well against Marines, but if you just have the overwhelming numbers at home with the help of the Queens, it just might be barely enough. And I think Miyako just has to stop her push for now, giving Miezekotze the chance to just reproduce a few of her forces. And I think Miezekotze should really transition into Hive now, trying to get up the tier 3 tech of her choice, be it Ultralisks, which is very probable, or be it the Spire maybe going into getting the Spire, maybe getting into Broodlords, which is very uncommon and not very likely to happen. There's the Infestation Pit, preparing to go into... Ooh, actually good mine connection over here. Unfortunately, Miezekotze is just running around those mines waiting for the Overseers and finally takes them out, not without suffering some heavy losses. So unfortunately for her, she's actually just lost a lot of her Banelings, and there's a big Bioforce with Liberators and Medivacs incoming once more. So Miyako just retreats into the Liberation Zone, also into the mines, and the mines might get some great hits over here, not really getting the connections that Miyako actually wanted. And again, Miyako's forces just get overwhelmed by Lings, and now the pilots of these Medivacs can just sit there and watch as these Lings make their way across the map. So it seems as if, okay, Miezekotze just wants to make sure that there are no third base, no fourth bases whatsoever. Now produces a few more Banelings, will probably just try to break through these supply depots once more. There's only one mine in place plus a Liberator. Liberator not actually very helpful against Zerglings. And another Widow Mine over here. So if Miyako just manages to micro this correctly and the Widow Mine shots are on her side, she might actually be able to eventually whittle that down and take it out, but it's going to be very, very difficult. Okay, for now, actually, Miezekotze has the biggest problem, that she is just not capable of breaking through this supply depot with the amount of units that she has right there. I mean, she's just very wasteful here. Now finally breaking through, a few Banelings actually detonating inside the Bioforces, getting great hits, even killing off more workers. And don't forget, Miyako has just barely taken a third base of her own. In the meantime, more Lings just running in, killing more and more of those workers. Another Baneling detonation might just get the rest of the bio, but great microing here by Miyako. Still, the wall is open, more and more Lings are streaming in, and again, Miezekotze just doesn't actually have to fight at the natural ramp or at the main ramp. She can just run over here, take out the rest of the remaining workers. 41 workers lost. Miyako is down to 3 workers. I dare to say that's it, and Miezekotze takes the second game as well. King Sejong Station is the third map of this best of 7 series, spawning to the top left hand corner in orange. It's our Terran player Miyako. And to the bottom right in purple, surprisingly leading 2-0, it's Miezekotze. So let's see if Miezekotze can continue her winning streak, or if Miyako can just claw herself back into it. I mean, thus far, Miezekotze just always seemed to be one step ahead. Of her opponent. Miyako just always got surprised what her opponent was planning to do. Let's see if Miezekotze can just keep on with it and even take a third match off of her. I mean, that would be... I mean, even taking 2 games off of Miyako is actually unprecedented thus far in the season. Opponents ever only managed to take 1 map off of our Terran player. So yeah, I mean, even if Miezekotze lost, and we don't really want to think of that right now, it would already be a great achievement to have done so. So let's see. I mean, Miyako must have something up her sleeves. So we'll see if this is going to be it. So scouting sees the head first. Nothing all too uncommon here. We'll probably even see the speed incoming, and of course what's also really important, that's what Miyako also sees, is that the extractor is not being mined from anymore. So Miezekotze just really wants to get the early speed done, but will then continue to just go on gasless for a little bit longer in order to just get out a few more Zerglings with more metabolic boost. So it seems as if Miezekotze really wants to turn the aggression up once more, is already running her links across the map. This base will have finished before Miezekotze's forces actually arrive. So I don't really know if I like that position. Miyako should actually be aware of what might happen after seeing that Miezekotze just retreated with links. But of course, unfortunately for Miezekotze right now, the Reaper can just now reign supreme. And it seems as if Miezekotze just actually had to retreat a few more made links back to home in order to drive that pesky Reaper away, but not before it has killed two workers there. Okay, Miyako unfortunately also does not really have any units out, but these Hellions will pop in just a few seconds. So once they are out, there should be no risk of this reactor going down. Okay, just retreats with a few more links, but the Hellions are there. Will finally take out Miezekotze's forces, but Miezekotze really didn't want it to go all in. She just wanted to have a lot of minerals left in order to either supply more pressure if she had seen something different over here, but instead just went into a third hatchery over here, while Miyako just goes into Banshee with Cloak. So really switches it up, changes her plans considerably, but that was what we were already talking about, what the big strength of Miyako actually is, that she's really capable of making a lot of things work, of playing a lot of different styles and tactics, and surprise you with a lot of things you just wouldn't expect out of her, even sometimes with some really well-made cheeses. We haven't unfortunately seen her play too often throughout the series. I mean, back in the good old ESL Female Cup days, Miyako just was known for her really, really well played out and thought out cheese pushes or cheese builds, where she actually just had one cheese build just deliberately designed for a special map, and that just made watching her games also pretty cool. So, a lot of Hellions actually down at that third base location. Unfortunately, not very much for Miyako to do here. There's only queens here, not that many drones she can kill. Also a few queens here, so they just have to do the dance, trying to walk around left or right. So, now finally the cloaking field finishes for Miyako, so Miyako will be able to finally cloak down that Banshee, trying to take out a few units. Won't really succeed in taking out a Queener because there's a lot of transfuses available, but of course with the help of the Hellions, I mean, for now she just keeps a lot of these units over at the third base location, might now be able to walk in with the Halberds, and Halberds now just do way better against Queens, especially with the help of a Banshee over here. So looks as if this time around Miyako will be able to deal way more damage than before. The only thing that Miezekotze can actually produce are mostly Zerglings, and Zerglings just won't cut it against these Halberds, especially not if they're clumped up like this, and they are also narrow choke points where they could also retreat to, actually just even creating a choke point with that Spore Crawl over here, and the third base dies. So this is actually a big blow for Miezekotze now. I mean, losing a third base is always problematic for a Zerg, but it's really critical if your opponent is on two bases as well, and now suddenly you just have as many bases as your opponent, who is taking a third base comfortably inside her own base. There's no way you can actually just stop her from doing that, and in the meantime you just still try to fend off that push over here. Miyako just nicely even remorphing these Halberds into Hellions, so that it will be a little bit more easy for her to just take down these Banelings, and retreating from them once they get off creep especially. And now more drones get roasted, especially this Banshee has proven very valuable, finally gets taken out by those queens. But again, a lot of resources have already been lost. If we just have a look at this, it just shows everything. 72 units already killed, and look at the resources lost tab. I mean, this is just terrible for Miezekotze. In the meantime, well, nothing really happening over here. We just have the Overlord trying to fly in, get some information, but it will just get shot down by that Marine down here. And we have more production for Miyako. Miyako is already preparing for the time when this command center will land at the third base location, which actually can't. So this is probably going to be pretty annoying for Miyako here. She just transitions the command center into an orbital command first and will then just fly it over. Probably just seeing, probably will just see too late that this Overlord is actually blocking that location with creep over here. So that at least gives Miezekotze a little bit time to get her economy back up. But if I were in her feet, I would just actually try to take that fourth base down here right now. I mean, she really needs to be one base up. It's the rule of thumb for Zerg play. If you want to go into a long macro game, or you're just being forced to go there by your opponent, you need one more base than your opponent. So I think Miezekotze should have just dared and tried to take it out, because she's way far behind anyways, and she can't really hope to win with inferior macro, or with inferior economy. Actually, it's not inferior macro, it's more like she has inferior economy right now. This third base, of course, is going to help, but like I said before, Miyako will just have her own third base in just a few seconds, and she already has a lot of production buildings in place in order to make use of it. So, this is going to get more problematic for Miezekotze by the minute. She flies in once more, sees everything that's inside Miyako's main base. Hasn't seen this push yet, so she doesn't really know what's going to happen. Sees the scan now, so she's probably guessing what's going to happen. And if that is everything that Miezekotze has to defend, it's GG right now. I mean, she can't really hold this. She will lose her third base over here again after it has only been saturated for a few seconds over here. Yeah, Miyako just doing the smart thing, just chasing down all of the drones, because she will just be able to kill off that hatchery anyways. But losing the drones and the hatchery is definitely GG. A lot of things just complete during this push as well. Third base goes down, Miezekotze is down to 2 base economy with the natural base almost dry. The main base is, yeah, almost completely dry even. Okay, and then even getting the bad connections, or for Miyako, the good connections with the mines. Miyako just pressing back her opponent into her own natural base. More drones are dying. Nothing that Miezekotze could actually do. Tries to desperately morph some banelings over here, but Miyako takes them out before they can even spawn. And even if they would, it just wouldn't matter. GG, and Miyako gets back into the game with a 1-2. We're on Frost for the 4th game of the series. Spawning to the top right hand position in purple, it's Miezekotze. And she's probably going to be very glad when she realizes that her opponent has spawned cross spawn in the bottom left hand corner in orange. Our Terran player Miyako, who has just proven that she has had enough. She doesn't want to go down to Miezekotze. She wants to get back into that game and claim the trophy, being the first champion of the first playoffs of the first season of the Female Starcraft League. So let's see who's going to be able to take it. Miezekotze already sending out her overlords to both directions. Like I said before, she's probably going to be pretty happy that her opponent, to find her opponent at the cross spawn location, because that's normally the best case scenario for Zerg, and actually the worst case scenario for Terran. Still, it doesn't necessarily mean that that just decides about everything who's going to win or lose. But it's of course quite significant if, as a Zerg, you usually want to have some time to build up against a Terran player if you want to play macro. And for the Terran, of course, it's a little bit disadvantageous to having to walk that big of a distance from one natural base to the other in order to get to your opponent. It just strengthens the defender's advantage, and since it's usually up to the Terran to deal damage early on, a defender's advantage on the Zerg side is just something you don't really like as a player. Okay, nicely done here by Miezekotze, just waiting for the SCV to arrive on creep and before she just finally tries to take it down. Doesn't really get it before the SCV finally makes it into the mineral line of the main base and sees there's no more tech around, and also the second gas has not been taken. Not really that big of a tell, probably mostly that what Miyako actually expected anyways. And Miezekotze actually doing an interesting thing here, just going for a third base, kind of expanding towards her opponent. But then again, I have to say that I really prefer this location over that third base location, a location that has pretty often been the natural third base location for a lot of Zerg players. But then again, there are a lot of abusable cliffs and other possibilities for Terran to be annoying. Also the possibility to just deal some damage over here, just luring all the units back to that third base and then just loading in right into the main base. It's not a really big distance anyways. So yeah, I actually have to say that I personally and as an observer prefer Zergs to take that third base. Of course you don't want to take it if the Terran has spawned over at that location. But in this scenario, I think it's really the best thing you can do. So Miyako again just going for a Hellion build. Quite heavily, a lot of Hellions, even more incoming. We also have Medivac again. So yeah, with Medivacs and Hellions, we have to expect the typical Hellbat push once more. And why not? It's worked out quite well for Miyako so far, at least in the last game. So even taking the Xel'Naga with the help of the Hellions, but of course now Miezekotze has realized what's headed her way. So we'll see whether she wants to transition into Roaches in order to deal with the Hellbats, or if she just continues producing more Zerglings and Banelings, which she actually does. So we'll see if this is going to work out and if she just has the necessary forces available. So nicely done here for Miezekotze now. Now we see it. I mean, Miyako just expected to be the third base location, or to find the third base in that location as well, but it's over here, baby. It's not where you think it is. So you will have to work something else out. But yeah, there we have it. Miyako just sends her Medivacs over here, will now load in these Hellbats and drop them right in the mineral line of the main base, while all of the units are far, far away from home. So quick reaction there by Miezekotze. But in the meantime, we also have a few more Hellions moving in. Okay, just Miyako just retreats them a little bit from creep, doesn't want to get overwhelmed. Nice little position here for Miyako, and this time the Zerglings just don't get a good surround. Zerglings alone in such a position just will never trade cost efficiently. So Miyako not really paying attention, she just has to micro all of her Hellbats down here. And look at that, ladies and gentlemen, it's mass Hellbats. But this time around, without the support of the Medivacs, just the pure Hellbats against pure Queens. The Hellbats just don't really deal that amount of damage that's necessary. But the Hellbats down there don't really need to do the massive damage because the Hellbats up here have already done it. 23 workers have already been killed. Finally, the Queens arrive. Miyako just tries to focus down the Medivacs in order to make them retreat away from the Hellbats so that the Queens finally get the possibility to take them out without them being counter-healed. But Miezekotze has lost so many units in the meantime. 4 more workers even killed at the while we're speaking because of that Liberator that is just sieging, who may be even able to just barely not take out that Queen here, just nail-bitingly close. And Miyako just tries to drop a few more Hellions over here. Not much more damage she can deal right now, but like I said before, she doesn't actually really need to. I mean, her third base is almost produced. She's just killed so many workers. It's now 39 Terran workers for 25 drones. Yeah, the SCVs, they are called, I know that. Just wanted to say something different from SCVs all the time, so trying to get my vocabulary up. Okay, ooh, Medivac. Actually, he has to be careful. It's at 14 health points. So once these queens actually can lock onto that Medivac, it just gets taken out for sure. But in the meantime, again, Miyako just with the multi-prong attacks, and Miezekotze just doesn't have the necessary economy in order to take everything out. Even more drones are getting killed. Let's have a look at that. 32 workers have been killed throughout the game so far. And yeah, Miyako just sending in a few more links, just tries to be more annoying with superior micro over here and also the superior counter units, while she's just easily taking out, she's just easily also producing a third command center right behind it. Miezekotze has 3 bases, but she does not really have the economy of 3 bases, especially not with 26 drones. And the biggest problem for her right now is that she actually has to fear that her opponent will come with a big-ass army very soon. And if that big-ass army comes, she might be able to just hold it off if she keeps producing units from here on out. But the problem for her is that she might be able to stop that next push, but she will just fall behind economically so far that it just won't matter, because the third push after that is just for sure going to kill her if she just doesn't have the necessary amount of income. But if she just goes for drones only right now and drones up like crazy, she will probably just die to this little push over here. So what do you do in that kind of situation except GGing? And I think this is what we're going to see pretty soon here. Miyako almost doubling the supply of Miezekotze, now just takes down the rest of the defending units. There were only a few links that just got cleared up immediately. The last few remaining links are up here. Miezekotze just abandons her third base, knowing that she can't really hold it, but that's just the beginning of the end. If she loses the third base, she will be at the same position she was last game, with Miyako even having a third base up right now. It's not even getting denied by the Overlord, because the Overlord is just spreading creep down here, but it just won't probably matter. Miezekotze just trying to fight her last engagement, takes down a lot of Hellbands to the right hand side, but most of the Marines just survive the Baning attack. The Liberator plus the highly damaging output units, or highly damaged outputting units, are still alive, so everything's just going to go down in the natural base as well. More units are streaming across the map. Miezekotze just doesn't have the necessary means anymore to even stop that push, let alone another push that would just come within a minute or a minute and a half. So GG, and Miyako, ties the game 2-2. Apotheosis is our 5th map of this series, and I bet a lot of you didn't even think that this series would even go that long. But here we are, spawning to the bottom right hand side in purple. It's MyRisk's Miezekotze. And in the top left hand corner in orange, it's LDLC's Miyako, who's just managed to tie up that series 2-2, and now she smells the blood in the water. The only thing that matters is victory. So Miezekotze, interestingly enough, just decides to take the usual, normal, good old-fashioned, standard, natural base on Apotheosis. She's chosen this map, maybe just because there's only 3 maps left to pick from, and maybe she just wanted to have it out of the way. I would have expected her to go for maybe some sort of gold cheese, and I think Miyako expected the same thing. Might even be surprised to see that Miezekotze has just taken her usual standard hatch. In the meantime, she just produces her own Reavers are the other units from StarCraft 1, or the really, really scary people from Firefly. So, Miyako just decides to take a base of her own, even down on the low ground. Actually, this can be quite problematic if Miezekotze decides to go for early links once more and just tries to harass the natural base of Miyako again. Because, again, this is a very wide open entrance toward the base. And maybe that was actually what Miezekotze was planning to do, because it's worked out so well for her on Galactic Process that she might want to try and do it again. So, a lot of links already out. Usually we see Miezekotze only producing like 4 links and sending them across the map in order to harass her opponent a little more. So, seems as if she just wants to pull back because the Reaper has finally managed to get inside the base using that little Reaper stair over here. So she will probably just need her own links in order to take down that Reaper. So just having it in position over here, Reaper just retreats for now. We have a Marine incoming as well. Quite interestingly, don't really know what that Marine is supposed to do over here. Maybe just for scouting, but she could have just easily done this with a Reaper. So maybe it's a wrong rally point. Maybe she just wanted to get. I mean, she saw that there was no hatchery over here. Otherwise, this Marine could have dealt some damage to a few probes, to a few drones, but. Thus, this way it just only gets killed by Miezekotze. Strange. That was actually a bit strange. Don't really know what Miyako actually wanted to do with that. So far Miezekotze actually managed to fend off everything quite well. Has now gone for the gold hatchery as well. Has obviously abandoned her plan to just send some links into Miyako's natural base. So Miyako will just be able to wall everything off for now with another command center even. So it seems as if even Miyako just plans to go for an early for drawn out macro game here, or she just wants to have something to effectively block that main entrance for now and just having the option to use that command center later on. So now Miyako just tries to go for the full wall off, but we have a lot of links already incoming. Stim is far from being done, but of course the Hellions might help out. Not with a wide open gap like this though. Okay, nice little movement back. Ooh, that was actually nice little micro there by Miyako. Just getting all of the Hellions right in the middle of all of these SCVs. The SCVs just protecting all of these Hellions, even counter repairing if necessary, and Miezekotze's push just gets taken out. Well, at least she's got 3 workers, but that was not really worth it. I mean, losing all of these links for 3 workers, no. Totally not worth it, especially since 1 cold down mule will just replace these 3 in the meantime quite easily. So, a little bit of a blunder there by Miezekotze. Tried to make something happen, of course, but it didn't really work out the well she really wanted it to work out. Okay, nicely, she's already guessing that her opponent is probably going to abuse that cliff with Liberators, so she already gets a Spore Crawler in position. Doesn't have a Spawn Crawler in the main, though. Yeah, I think she really feels that securing this base from Liberators and maybe even dropships, or just having a possibility to shoot down something that would grant Miyako vision from down here, abusing that cliff mechanic. So yeah, I think that's actually pretty smartly done by her. Okay, she also, like I said before, Miezekotze just great at passively scouting. She just has units everywhere. 1 at the gold, 1 at the natural third, 1 overlord here at the what would usually be the potential 5th base, and also 1 circling right in front of the base in case Miyako just wants to move out. But unfortunately, it seems as if she's just missed this dropship for quite some time. Finally, the Overlord sees it. Miezekotze just Miezekotze just immediately reacts, pulls back all of her units. Wants to, of course, to protect her Spore Crawler here as well, because it will just be a tremendous help to fend off further ongoing medevac pushes here, because it's quite difficult, even with a boost, to just fly away, especially if your medevac got already has already got a few scratches on it. So yeah, in the meantime, Miezekotze just waiting here, whether her opponent just wants to get back into the main base. Also has a standing force down here. Might even surprise Miyako now, and will just be able to take down all of her units. Yeah, Miyako will ooh! Just very well done here. Just surviving with 10 more hit points. Miyako just reacting pretty fast there. But Miezekotze is looking pretty nice. I mean, finally Miyako just tries to take the gold base. Ling will just immediately tell Miezekotze what's going on, but she is already at 100 supply, and Miyako again just couldn't manage to deal any sort of significant damage early on, and whenever that happens it just normally doesn't look very well for the Terran player, because the Zerg player just gets to do whatever she wants. Planting down a 4th hatchery over here. Has already transitioned into lair tech. Of course, not really transitioning into hive tech. Don't really know if I like that. I mean, she could just do the nurture thing and just throw down a... and there she goes, an infestation pit with the amount of gas she's just banged up. And she does. So yeah, Miezekotze finally transitioning into ultras. And Miyako not really transitioning into ghosts yet, but now she will. I mean, she sees that the infestation pit gets thrown down, should know that hive tech will be on the way pretty soon, so let's see if she's going to throw down a Ghost Academy already, or if she just wants to wait a little bit longer. Also, Spire in the making for Miezekotze. Miezekotze probably expecting her opponent to go into Liberators later on, so she probably just wants to have some Corruptors available if Liberators should happen. Either way, it's just okay for the Zerg to throw out a few more of these tech buildings, because the only production buildings you need are hatcheries anyways. So it's always a neat thing to just have the technology available. If you want to do some tech switch, you can just immediately do it. And if you have the necessary resources left, why not? Why not just, well, build it? Not really transitioning into the different tech, but just having it ready. Okay, Miyako just scanning for a 4th base location, sees that there isn't one, does not really know that there is a 4th base location, but of course she assumes that a player as good as Miezekotze has already taken her 4th base, especially without being pressured that much early on in the game. So Miyako just walks across the map via the left-hand side, and this is actually a huge-ass army with a lot of mines, so ooh, if Miezekotze isn't careful and just explodes most of the units into the wrong, yeah, she just came in with the units not being right there at the same time. Okay, Miyako just scans, wants to clear these creep tormos, also wants to have a good look at what Miezekotze's army is built out of. So it's mostly Lings and Banelings. There is enough for Miezekotze to handle what Miyako has here. Magnificent splits there by Miyako, and it seems as if Miezekotze just will lose most of her army units towards that push. She still has a lot of units in production, more Banelings incoming, has to run in, has to buy herself some time. The mines are still doing terrible damage to the Zergling forces, but there's not much left. It seems as if Miezekotze will just barely be able to take everything out. Queen's just trying to take out the Liberators before they can finally siege up, and it seems as if she just will barely be able to do so. Now Miyako just again tries to buy more time for her Liberators to be effective. Oh, the Marauders just can't get killed. The superior upgrades of Miyako also helping out, but finally a few more Zerglings get in, take out the Marauders as well, finally take out the Widow Mine again, but not before it just gets one shot more off. And the Sporker trying to be repositioned, it will eventually get shot down, and it seems as if Miyako has just broken it. Yes, now she's just moving in. A few more Zerglings in the making, also a few more Banelings. Miezekotze just has to wait a little bit longer, but the stream of Terran units just seems to be infinite. Liberators just get in position. Miezekotze just doesn't really know where to attack first. Shall I take out the Widow Mine? Shall I try to take out the Liberator? But there's just too much bio standing in between me and the range in order to get the Liberators down. Miezekotze just loses her 4th base over here. Not a good thing to happen for a Zerg player. Drops below 100 supply for just a second there. And now the rest of Miyako's force is just running in. The parade push, ladies and gentlemen. And we see the parade marching from one base to another. Miezekotze just not being able to take out enough units at one point in time in order to gather some momentum to maybe re-establish her army. This is going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. Miezekotze now at half the supply of Miyako's, just rallying more and more units across. 3 will all be done in just a few seconds here. The adrenaline glints just on the way for Miezekotze's links, but it won't even matter. Going to lose the second base as well. GG! And Miyako takes the lead 3-2. We're back in what could be the potentially last game of this best of 7 grand final series. Spawning on New Gettysburg in the bottom left hand corner. Playing in purple and Zerk, it's Miezekotze. And to the bottom right hand side, in orange, playing Terran for LDLC, it's Miyako. She was behind 0-2. She managed to get back into the game, taking the lead with a 3-2 now, and just needs one more game in order to be the very first champion of the very first playoffs of the very first season of the Female Starcraft League. Such honor and glory. Unheard of ever before. So, Miezekotze again, going for a bread and butter build, taking the hatchery, going into gas and spawning pool right afterwards. Well, the bridge could actually offer her a lot of aggressive potential early on. We'll see if it's going to work out or not. Orbital command already in production for Miyako, as well as the first Reaper. So she will also be able to deal some damage maybe, and also get some more scouting information. In the meantime, Overlord just crossing the gap in order to get some information in Miyako's base. Was just building another barracks back here, which is actually quite interesting there. So let's see if Miezekotze actually spots that. So might be that we will actually see some sort of early stim timing bio push by Miyako. And this is, like I said, this is just what I like about Miyako as a player. She's just so unpredictable. I mean, she's a terrifying opponent if you have to play against her because of that. But for viewers and for entertainment value, these sorts of players are just the most interesting to watch. Even if they sometimes don't succeed with what they're doing, although actually Miyako is making it work, it's always interesting to watch. So let's see if Miezekotze will be prepared. She's already collected a lot of Zerglings. Let's see if she will just fly, just walk across the map using the bridge over here, because Miyako has not spent any resources in order to close it off with the help of one depot here. Which actually a lot of players do, because it makes holding early pushes so much easier if the Zerg player just tries to run across the map with early links and they just get hold up here, and you have like 1 or 2 Marines back here. They can just hold out for everything. Of course, the Zerg can just always retreat or can just walk the long route, but then the push hits even later, and by then you normally just have enough units in order to defend it. So, hatchery goes down. Seems as if Miezekotze feels comfortable with going into the late game. Don't really know if it's going to work out. We have stim in the making. We have a lot of units being produced. 3 at a time, more and more Marines coming out. There's also a factory that will be a reactor factory that might be able to throw out a few mines. Okay, finally an Overlord gets in, sees the amount of Marines that might actually tip off Miezekotze here. In the meantime, Miezekotze just running in with a few more speedlings at the natural ramp, sees that there's a lot of Marines out there already. So it seems as if, well, either Miyako just planned to do that sort of push right from the get-go, or she was just adapting to Miezekotze's play, knowing that Miezekotze would probably try to rush into her wide open natural with a lot of links, and thus she just changed it up, produced a few more Marines that would allow her to more easily defend her base. And there it is, the blocking supply depot that can actually help Miyako quite easily to hold off Miezekotze's units for quite some time. I mean, they really get stuck up in that big choke point, and that's a position you never want to be in with a player that uses mostly melee units. So in the meantime, Miezekotze has of course just managed to take up, to get up her third base, is now trying to saturate it with a lot of drone power, but Miyako not being lazy. She also has a few medevacs in position, and Miezekotze just tries to go for his signature strategy right out of the first game, tries to break through this wall here with a lot of banelings. And of course these units will be missing, but of course these units that are ready towards the front will also be missing to help defending her own third base. So it will just come down to mostly multitasking, who's actually better at that. And Miyako actually having a little bit of an advantage because of the wall, and it seems as if Miezekotze just totally retreats with all of the units, actually just abandons the third base. Maybe she just, yeah, that actually seems to have triggered her to just go for it and try to bust through the base as well, thinking that, okay, I might even lose that base over here, there's nothing I can really do to defend it, but if I manage to deal enough damage inside Miyako's natural base, I might still be able to just win this game. Ooh, unfortunate. Nice micro here. Focus firing down the banelings as they move in. So unfortunately Miezekotze not even being able to tear down all of the units of Miyako, actually not any unit of Miyako right now. So Miezekotze just has to stop that push. She's dealt a lot of damage at Miyako's second base. Okay, and she finally drives it back. So I think Miezekotze is quite okay. Yes, having lost that third base was quite a heavy thing, but Miyako just has to replace a lot of workers of her own, has also has to retreat for now. I mean, this force is quite strong, but Miezekotze actually has enough in order to fend off. With a third medevac though, this might be, well, with a third medevac though, this might actually be quite interesting. I mean, Miyako now dropping inside the main base will also maybe try to attack the third one as well, while Miezekotze again just goes for a counter-attack and doesn't have anything at home, and that could just be the deciding part, ladies and gentlemen. Miezekotze now again trying to run in, but the wall is tight, and there's no way for her to get in without banelings. Seems as if Miyako just will now be able to take out even important tech buildings here, taking down the spawning pool, so no more link production for Miezekotze here, so she won't even be able to produce anything that could help her out at home. Finally breaks through the wall because Miyako just didn't have anything in place in order to defend behind it, and Miyako just tries to take out everything in the main base of Miezekotze as well at the same time. So it seems as if we might have some sort of base race scenario. Don't really know. Miezekotze just retreats with everything. I don't really know if I actually like it. She's probably going to lose her hive even. Her lair, sorry for that. Also having produced a macro hatch over here, just now runs in with all of the links in the baning as well. Miyako just retreats a little bit, tries to take out as many units as she can, while just trying to escape. One good baneling hit just gets at least a few of these marines, and Miezekotze is still standing outside of Miyako's natural base, having the supply lead right now. So again, Miyako just has to defend on several locations, also attacking the third base. There's not much here. Spawn Crawler would probably get taken out pretty easily. Hatchery is already down to 3/4 of the health. And finally the units of Miezekotze stream in, but there's not many of them. Miyako again just retreating back, trying to focus fire the baneling, but just doesn't get it done. In the meantime, we have another drop down at the main base, and again Miyako just playing fantastically, using her superior multitasking in order to take out Miezekotze's forces, but Miezekotze again reacting right in time. Miyako trying to unload her units over at the third base once more. She has to buy herself some time in order to get her second base, her natural base, just set up again. But will it be enough? It's really close and really tight here. So again, at the third base we have another drop, just taking out more and more drones as we speak. Has to be careful not to get too close into that spore crawler over here, because losing that medevac would be a critical hit towards Miyako's possibility to push in. And now again, the multitasking from several angles. Miyako is just trying to run in, attacking at the front with a small force over here, attacking at the third base with a small force as well. Okay, Miezekotze just defends this quite easily. I mean, these two locations are pretty close together, so defending against it is kinda easy. Well, it's not easily done, never mind that I said easy here, but it's of course easier than as if her opponent was just attacking at maybe 3 locations at once, or 2 locations that are actually split very far apart. Don't really know if Miezekotze can just keep up with it. I mean, she keeps producing more and more links. She also gets these centrifugal hooks in order to get some baneling speed, even off creep. But yeah, more and more units are just being rallied in, and Miyako buys herself the time in order to claw herself back into the game once more. A lot of links here, only a few banelings though, and I don't really know if Miezekotze actually wants to attack into that choke point with Marines and Hellions ready. Ooh, and even now Hellbats just coming in, so the Hellbats might be just the last nail in the coffin here. Miezekotze is only barely up in supply, but she just doesn't have enough units in order to clear this Marine and Hellbat force with the support of the Medivacs just counter healing everything. Finally, the last few units of Miezekotze just died. 22 more Zerglings in the making, as well as 4 Banelings. But the force of Miyako is just standing right inside the natural. Miezekotze just can't really get her army together. Everything that streams out of hatcheries just tries to get rallied somewhere in the middle. But there the units are already standing, toasting and taking down everything. Finally, Miezekotze just manages to take out all of the units, and she's still in the game. I mean, she has 3 bases, she has the workers and has it saturated, but the lava and the tech units she would actually need in order to just cost efficiently take that out. I mean, Miyako is fighting so cost efficiently here, I just can't say it more often, but I actually would need to do it because it's so important how well she trades at the moment. Oh, and even taking a 3rd base right behind it. So if this is going to take any longer, if Miezekotze just doesn't find a valuable answer to take out these units more cost efficiently, I think Miyako will just be able to get herself back into the game. Finally, even having the higher supply count here. Great position for these Marines back here, right behind these extractors over there. And there's actually just nothing that Miezekotze can do, now starting to lose a lot of workers and thus losing the only advantage she has had throughout the game. If we just have a look, she's down to 18 drones, 13 SCVs for Miyako, more and more units streaming across the map. 3rd base is already done, and it seems as if we're just seeing the last breath. Ooh, luckily for Miezekotze, this Widowmine didn't shoot into the big amount of banelings, finally just taking out a lot of these Marines, but very cost inefficiently with almost losing all of her banelings. Finally having finally she just managed to stop it, but Miyako is now in such a good position here. 53 or 57 supply to 35. A lot of things are going on in her production tab, while Miezekotze just desperately tries to produce a few more units that are going to help her to defend the next push that's already coming, while Miyako just comfortably takes her 3rd base. No problem for her whatsoever. She doesn't need to be afraid. She doesn't have to care whether her opponent could just push her back. All she does is just push herself and keep her opponent in the defense. Even 2-3 now already starting with all the pressure that was going on in the early game. 2 more banelings are morphing, but I think they just won't be enough in order to take out this form, actually get shot down before they can finally morph. Miezekotze just retreats all of her links, has to lure her opponent back, but the splits are okay. Most of the banelings just die on 1 Hellbat, and the rest of the units survive. GG, well played! And Miyako, after being down 0-2, takes the series 4-2 and becomes the very first champion of Season 1.